Hello and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if this is the first time you are joining me. I recently did my top 5 tarot decks for 2019, and in this video I'm going to go through my top 5 oracle decks for 2019. These aren't necessarily decks that I bought in 2019, they're definitely not decks that came out in 2019. They're just decks that I worked with in 2019, and these are the top 5 that I worked with throughout the year. So I'm going to jump straight in. They're in no particular order, they're just as I happen to pick them up. And the first one is the one that I'm currently working with, which is the Foxfire. Well, Foxfire the Kitsune Oracle, this deck is called. Now, I do have some issues with this deck. I have some issues which I discussed in my walkthrough around the use of Western dragons in an Eastern deck. I've discussed it a couple of times, so I'm not going to go into it again. But I love Lucy Cavendish. I really like the artwork. The artwork is by Meredith Dillman, who I didn't know at all before this deck, but I really like her artwork. And I'm also a sucker for canines, anything canine, particularly dogs and foxes, but I have a real affinity towards canines. So I really love everything about this deck. I love the overall style and feel and artwork and everything. I find with this deck that I actually very rarely use the book because of the way I use oracle decks. I tend to pair them with my daily draws, and they excuse me, I'm full of cold, so I'm sorry if my voice keeps dropping in and out. I tend to use them with tarot decks and my daily draw. So I do my daily draw, and then I add an oracle deck to that in order to enhance the message. And this just has generally very simple titles, but the titles are enough for me to get to pull a meaning out of these cards and to really connect with the meaning of these cards. Sometimes I do still like to dig into the book and see what the book has to say, because I like Lucy Cavendish's writing. So I will still use the book on occasion, but not very often. And to be honest, I'm the same with the majority of oracle decks I use now. So the second deck that I have is, again, in no particular order, is the Angels and Ancestors Oracle deck by Kyle Gray. I don't know, did Kyle Gray do the art? No, Lily Moses did the artwork. So this is another one that I love everything about it. I love the cardstock. I love the backs. I love the colouring. I love the art style. I love the messages. This one, again, I don't very often read the book, although I like to dig into it just for my own interest, because not only does it have a title, but it also has a key phrase. So I find, again, this one is really easy to just read without having to go in depth in the guidebook. Although the guidebook is, it's a really good guidebook, and it's got a message and about an extended message. So it's still worth digging into the guidebook occasionally just to get some additional info on the cards. But on a daily draw, I'm quite comfortable with the messages and don't feel the need to use the card messages. I feel like I can very much trust my intuition with this one. I love this card. This is one of my favourite cards in the whole deck. Now, my deck is a card short, not because I've lost one, but because I've taken one out to put on my altar. There's a teacher or something it's called. I don't know what it's called, but I can't see it because there's something in the way. Great Teacher, I think, is what it's called, which I use on my altar as a representation of Jesus at the moment. So I have taken that one out of this deck, but I don't think it makes any difference to how the deck works and how the deck reads. It's just beautiful. It's just a very beautifully put together deck. So that's deck number 2. Deck number 3 is the Alice in Wonderland Oracle. Again, a Lucy Cavendish deck. This one is the artwork by Jasmine Beckett Griffiths. Probably no surprises here for people who have paid any attention to my channel whatsoever, that there is a Lucy Cavendish and Jasmine Beckett Griffith deck on here. I like them all, but I didn't want this to just be a list of their decks. So I picked just one of theirs. And because I'm a huge Alice fan, I went with the Alice deck. Again, this is another one that I very rarely need to dig into the book when I'm using it, because it's got a title and then it's got keywords or key phrases at the bottom, which makes it really easy to read with. I love this art style. I just do. I can't gush about it any more than I think I already have in numerous other videos. There's just something about this large-headed, big-eyed girl type artwork that just really appeals to me on an aesthetic level. I love Alice in Wonderland, as I've mentioned, and you know, I love the stories. I've reread them a few times. I read them a few times as a child. I've reread them a few times as an adult. There's a lot of nostalgia for me built up in Alice in Wonderland as well. I remember not only reading the books, but spending time with my mum and my family on a, you know, Saturday night in the run-up to Christmas, and my mum would make Scottish tablet and we would sit round the telly and watch Alice in Wonderland and have a real family night in kind of thing. So there's a lot of nostalgia built up around Alice in Wonderland for me as well, which really helps, I think, with my connection to these Alice decks. But I just love it. I love. She always looks so pissed off, right? Or sad. I mean, like this one, she looks heartbreakingly sad. But that seems to be her two defaults here. Heartbreakingly sad or very pissed off. Yeah, love it. Absolutely love it. Definitely one I will use again and again and again and again. My third favourite deck, no, that was my third favourite deck. Deck number 4, again in no particular order, is Wisdom of the Oracle divination cards. I'll move that to where you can actually see it, shall I? This is by Colette Baron-Reid, artwork by Jenna Della Grottaglia. I don't think I've said her surname right. This one I trimmed, so it did come with borders, but this year I trimmed the borders off. And again, this is another one. This one sometimes I'm fine with the card and the card is enough for me, and sometimes I need to dig in a bit more and get a bit more information from the book, because it does just have like titles. It doesn't necessarily have keywords or key phrases, and some of them tend to be much easier for me to connect with than others. But I know this style of art isn't for everybody, and I would totally appreciate that. Different strokes for different folks and all that kind of jazz, but I love it. I love the colouring, I love the art style, I love the choices of the keywords. One of the things I love is trying to find the face of the oracle in each of the cards. You know, that's just a little thing that I enjoy about this deck. It's just a really lovely, soft oracle deck that I just really enjoy having in my collection and enjoy using as a part of my, I don't know, I was trying to think of another word, but I couldn't think of the word. So I just enjoy having it as part of my collection, and I enjoy using it with my daily draws, and I feel that it definitely gives me some great messages when combined with my daily tarot card. So that is deck number 4 of my top favourite oracle decks of 2019, and my final deck, which I think I featured a couple of times before anyway, so people are going to have seen this, but it's the Love Your Inner Goddess deck by Alana Fairchild, artwork by Lisa Ferranti. I don't see enough of this deck around, So it's one that I just like to get out and talk about every now and again because I don't see it enough. Now, one of the things I do dislike about this deck is that some of the cards are landscape, whereas all the rest are portrait. I'm not sure what's happened there. And that messes a little bit with my brain, but I can live with it. But this, again, a lot of the time with this one, I do need more information. I do have to dig into the book and figure out what this card message is, because it is just a title. There are sometimes extra words written into the card that you can kind of dig out and get more from. But I just, again, this is a style of artwork that I know doesn't appeal to everybody. But personally, I love it. I absolutely love it. It's one of those ones that I could just get out and look at over and over again. It combines really well with the tarot, really, really well. It's also a deck that I have on occasion done readings, just oracle readings with, which isn't something that I normally do because I really enjoy the messages that this card gives, and I really enjoy the pictures of this card. These cards. I just, overall, it's a great deck. I mean, it's obviously a very feminine deck, a very female-oriented deck, being in a goddess deck. But I think, men having a goddesses too and can use this deck. I just think it's stunning. Absolutely stunning. It is definitely one of my top 5 of all time. Never mind just my top 5 of 2019. I love this deck very much. So there you go. This is my top 5 oracle decks that I worked with in 2019. We've got the Love Your Inner Goddess, Wisdom of the Oracle, Alice in Wonderland, Angels and Ancestors, and then the Foxfire one that I'm working with right now. I would love to know what your top 5 oracle decks for 2019 were. Drop me a comment or do your own video and let me know that you've done one. Otherwise, I will see you all shortly for the next one. Take care, everyone, and lots of love. Bye-bye.